Welcome to day 3 on our series. Strong in the gym and scared on the field? That's the chaos gap. So it's me again, Doc Lupi. This may not sound familiar to you yet, but I want to introduce you to an issue that affects many athletes recovering from a hamstring injury, so you're aware of what rehabilitation often leads to a few months down the line. So you've put in the work, you're lifting again, single leg RDLs, bridges, maybe even Nordic hamstring exercises, and objectively, you're stronger than you were right after your initial injury. But the moment training gets fast, reactive, and crowded, you shorten stride, you hesitate to accelerate, and your hamstring can feel tight, crampy, and that gap really is common. This is the gym strength versus sports chaos problem. So why prediction models are context dependent. Your brain does not store a global hamstring setting, so it's built separate prediction models for different contexts. So you have the quiet rehab, the solo tempo run, the small group drills, and full match chaos with fatigue, decision-making, and contact. So in the gym, you know what's coming, you can control the pace, attention is mostly the movement, and you can stop anytime, and it's all under your power. And on the field and court, directions and speed change fast. You react to teammates, opponents, and the ball. You're fatigued and emotionally charged, and you have less bandwidth to monitor your hamstring. So it's completely possible to have a fairly solid prediction model for controlled load and a very untrained and a very undertrained model for high-speed, reactive, chaotic load. Your nervous system reads that mismatch as threat. We talked about that on day 1 already. So one piece that's often missing here is the mobility and strength work. Not stretching and not max strength, but the ability to produce force while moving through large, changing ranges of motion at different speeds and angles. That's what allows your nervous system to trust that strength when your position becomes less predictable, and it's often where rehab underprepares athletes for chaos. So let's talk about the chaos exposure ladder. Think of chaos exposure as a ladder. You have the phase 1 with controlled, predictable gym movements, slow strength, isometrics, machines, very controlled drills. Then you have the phase 2, which is semi-predictable with tempo runs, gentle change of motions, simple patterns where you know what comes next. Phase 3 is reactive chaos, so partner drills, small-sided games, reacting to cues under some fatigue. And then you have phase 4, which is full chaos in competition with high speed, high fatigue, full decision-making load, and emotional pressure. And in many real-world pathways, athletes get reasonable phase 1, and then a bit of phase 2, and then they jump straight toward phase 4 because the calendar or contract set its time. And no wonder your body will say, I'm medically cleared but not strategically guided, and every movement still feels like a risk. The protocol often ends where the part of that begins. So strength without context is not readiness. So quick note before we go on, so you know what lanes I can support you with. I've put everything together that I'm explaining here in free guides that are evidence-based. They explain the proximal hamstring avulsion pathways, how the MRIs can be interpreted, what the injury actually is, and how to use it for your specific case. You can download them on my website. It's linked underneath this video. If you're in a real surgery versus conservative gray zone and you don't know which path to choose and can't find support, I created a structured telemedical second opinion called the Hamstring Surgery Clarity Audit. It's a framework that can support, in your specific case, what direction makes more sense. Or if you're still before or right after surgery, but feel like you're drifting in rehab, there's a hamstring recovery roadmap call I can support you with. It's a 45-minute call after you email me your details and a 12-week written roadmap with exercises for you. And if you've already chosen surgery and want a full 24-week system instead of improvising week by week, that's the Own Your Hamstring Recovery program. It's a personalized, phase-based recovery navigator that sits along surgeon and physio and starts before surgery and goes all the way 6 months after surgery. All of these layers are decision and education support layers around your local medical care. Links are below if you want to see what fits you. You can read there again. And let's get back to the reading. Especially when strength has only been trained in fixed, controlled ranges, I've seen athletes who are objectively strong, so good symmetry on certain tests, heavy deadlifts or squats, decent early running, and yet the first time someone shouts go from an unpredictable position, everything changes. They tighten up, they feel safe, they self-limit acceleration, they interpret every small pain as danger, and they question whether they will ever feel like a real athlete again. This is not because they are mentally weak. It's because their prediction model for hamstring under chaos has almost no safe data. So chaos needs to be trained in layers, not cross-jumped in one jump. So where we are going next? Today's point was gym progress is real and valuable, but it's only part of the story. So the chaos gap has to be addressed deliberately. Tomorrow we'll talk about time. So why 24 weeks or more is not too slow for rebuilding tissue and prediction models, how phase-based thinking can calm the feeling that rehab is random and progress is invisible, and one safe next step. So this is general education, not individual medical advice. Your current clinicians know your leg. I don't personally, so please discuss specific changes with them. But a simple question you can bring to your physio and coach next week: where in my plan do we deliberately train the transition from gym strength to sport chaos? What are the steps and how will we know I'm ready for each one? And you deserve a clear answer to that, not because anyone failed you, but because the system is fragmented and rarely set up to own the final 20 to 30% of your journey. So talk to you again tomorrow on day 4.